Morning, y'all. Hey, Melissa here at Twin Oaks Family Farm in Southeast Ohio. It's March 26th, 2025. Doing a little bit of an update on those chicken coop builds that we have going. Here's some of our Rhode Island Reds. 5 months old at the point of lay. So if you're ever curious, Rhode Island Reds or any kind of comparable heritage type, dual purpose type breed of chicken, when are they going to start laying eggs? Pretty reliably about 5 months in is what you can plan on. So whatever their hatch date is, you could count forward about 20 weeks, and that's about when they're going to be at the point of lay. This is one of the older hens that's in this pen with them. We have about 35 of the red feathered ones in this hen house here, and about 3 of our older hens in there with them to kind of show them the ropes on the nest boxes and using the ramp, etc. Then over there, where you see a variety of different colored chickens, that's a group of chickens, all of them approximately around 3 years old. So those are our egg layers. Good morning, friend. Good morning. We're going to go down and see the other chickens. We always get asked what breed she is. Real pretty, kind of sapphire feathered hen. She does lay brown eggs, actually, this one. Not really sure what genetics is in her. She really would be mixed genetics, so we've never really tried to identify breed on her. But those Rhode Island Reds, very nice examples of Rhode Island Reds. Rhode Island Reds are a heritage breed. They're also considered dual purpose. We would not raise them for meat, but you could. And that's, that's what you'd see at about 5 months. I would say if you wanted to harvest them for meat, you'd probably go a little longer. You're probably still only going to end up with a 3.5 to 4 pound chicken, probably a 3.5 pound harvested chicken for meat, even if you go 6 to 9 months with them. So a lot of times with them, people will kind of cull roosters out as they grow, like from 6 months up, and keep the hens longer. But I don't know, we don't use them for meat, so they would be just for egg production here, and we don't have any roosters in that group. So we're gonna head down here though. We want to check on the chicken coop builds. So basically, it'd be really cool if you could just be like, money's no object, and I'm gonna start from scratch, and I have all the room I need, and I'm gonna build a place for my chickens. But, that's hardly ever the case, right? Because usually money is at the mercy of a budget, and we have the resources we have in terms of amount of space. So we usually have to work within some confines of our resources. Such is the case here. We basically have kind of an open area on a little bit of a hillside on the east side of our property where we want to put all the chickens. So there's 35 here, there's about 40 on that side, and we have about 19 pullets of egg production breeds that are, the little pullets are only about 3 weeks old, but eventually we want to get all the egg production chickens over here. So we'll probably max out at about 60 hens. That's generally, we keep around 60 to 100 in production. So we only did 3 chicken coops, and then we'll have this open area. We want to be able to let them range. So this one's not finished, not housing chickens yet, but we can kind of peek inside of it. Roof isn't on yet. We have all the materials. Time is at a premium. I won't say time is our enemy, but it's not our friend either sometimes. So we gotta get the roof on this. Gotta get the roof on, and we'll put some hardware mesh, y'all might call it hardware cloth, down in the bottom. We'll line the entire bottom of this with a protective barrier to keep predators from tunneling in. So that'll be laid in the bottom right on the ground and returned up into the boards and stapled in. We might actually be able to see that. So, and then a door will be built to go there. Corner trim will go on. Different trim pieces will go on in the roof. So that one is getting there, and you can see there would be space. So we're thinking a fence, for example, from like here over to here, okay, and then, you know, might be right up at the corner. But this one is in use, so we'll look at that in a minute. But this one is also partially finished, but not in use yet, so we'll peek inside that one. And this is kind of an example. I guess we're gonna prototype a different kind of fence here. So for now, for temporary, we've put up this hardware mesh fencing. It does pretty well. Most of the chickens will stay in it, especially any of the dual purpose heritage type breeds. They'll stay in that because they're heavier bodied. The lighter breeds, like a leghorn, for example, and some of the Easter eggers, they're really agile. Sometimes they'll jump out of this. When we do the fence in its finished states, those two pallets up there, they're standing upright. That's the direction we're gonna go with the pallets. This one we put on its side, and the chickens actually could fit through these slits, even the grown chickens. So we put a piece of scrap material there to keep them in. But we're actually envisioning doing a pallet fence around the whole enclosure that we want to use. Overall footprint of it will probably be about 80 foot by 100 foot. But those two panels together kind of gives you an idea what we're thinking. So there would be like T-bar or stakes drove in the ground, and then the pallets could actually be snugged over top of the stake, and then we can fasten the pallets together like with wire. So before we let the hens out that are already here, we wanted to peek inside this chicken coop and show you that example of that at the floor, if y'all can, at ground level, if y'all can see it. So the hardware mesh is laid right at ground level, and then it's returned up the sides, and it's going to be stapled in. And then we'll actually take more lumber and fill those gaps at the bottom on the outside. So we'll still have lumber all the way down to ground level, but this hardware mesh is actually what's going to help us protect the hens from predators coming up. It was kind of interesting actually seeing this grass continuing to grow up through the hardware mesh. I've seen examples where people wanted grass to grow in an area where they have hens, and that was a technique they actually used. They put hardware mesh down, like they may have bordered it with a panel of 2x4 or even more slender lumber, but they made like maybe a square of this hardware panel bordered by some lumber so that it would stay flat and stay where they wanted it, and they could pick it up and move it around. But they would lay that down in their chicken pen, and since the chickens couldn't scratch the soil right there, it would allow the grass to continue growing up through instead of becoming uprooted and not having grass growing there. So I thought that was an interesting idea. We've never done that, but I thought it was interesting. But at any rate, so this coop is almost finished. As soon as we get that stapled in and some soil material, bedding material down there, we can actually put chickens in it. There still is some trim like under the eaves, under the overhang to put in. My husband built the door out of deck boards. I'm gonna fasten that up. So let's let these chickens out. But they don't have very much turnout room right now. We want to get to the point where they've got more turnout room and where all the hens are over here. Very, very simple chicken door. Just cut it out of the material, piano hinge on it, another piece of the material to make a latch. We really don't need the nail here. They ended up driving a hole through there, and we pin it up here, so we'll get it hooked up here. Always enjoy seeing the chickens come out of the door. It's like the funnest part. Second to actually gathering the eggs, this is the funnest part of chicken keeping. Come on out, friend. The other girls went out. There they go. This is also just a variety of breeds. I think we have about 14 here. Come on, girl. Come on. Oh. So there's about 4 left in there. We have about 14 here. They like to come out and snack first thing. We do go ahead and give them some grain. So outside looking in. But they're really doing well in this coop. As I said, I think we do have about 14 down here. Just utilizing this coop, we can bring more down here, and we're excited to get the other 2 coops totally finished, get the fencing done, and get all the hens down here. Let's check eggs before we cut the video. Even being able to be out, the hens appreciate some additional grain, snacks from time to time, their favorite mealworms. Make sure your chickens have fresh, clean water at all times. Try to kind of match up the quantity of water you give them to the quantity of water they'll drink within about a day's time, so that the water stays fresh and doesn't get stale or stagnant. So just checking for eggs. Actually, no eggs just yet. In here, we let the hens use a nesting corner rather than nesting boxes, and they usually put them back here in this corner. So we'll check them again later today at egg checks, and guaranteed we'll have eggs over here. So if you do have any questions on these little coops, let us know. I'll probably put a link to a couple of videos on building them while they've been in progress. They're not finished. This was the first time, more or less the first one here, more or less the prototype one. So the door's different, the trim's a little different. This is more or less the look we're going to settle on at some point when our weather is good here in Southeast Ohio. We'll probably paint the wood portion just for some more protection for it. That's T111. It was in kind of a beige color stock, which is great. It looks nice. It's very neutral. But my husband felt maybe painting it would give it some protection from the elements. I can tell you that each hen house, as you see it, is approximately $1,000 of materials and 40 man hours of labor. So actually, if you have construction skills, this is something that you could build cheaper than you can buy at a store in terms of out-of-pocket money. You'd have time in it in addition to your materials. But yeah, about $1,000. And if you go to like a feed supply store, the big farm supply chain stores, you can't get anything like this for $1,000. The things that we see for $1,000 are maybe not even half the size of this. So these are 8x8, so 64 square foot. They do kind of have a greenhouse concept design with the polycarbonate panel at the top and the solid material at the bottom. And so they're working out really, really well. We are going to be evaluating how they do over summer with heat, because we do get some strong heat even here in Southeast Ohio in the summertime. So as we use them, we'll be evaluating that. But we're really, really pleased with the builds and happy to answer any questions on them and materials we used on them. The chickens have been very happy with the one that they're using. I think we're gonna call it something like the Hennington egg states at Twin Oaks or something. So I don't know, jury's still out on that. But anyway, but yeah, each one we wanted to let y'all know. So like there's a good view of the one on the right, other than getting the soffit and fascia trim on. That's basically what it's going to look like, unless we paint the door and the wood siding. It could just change the color, but basically $1,000 of materials there. And if you have construction skills, you could buy the materials and build it yourself for about $1,000 bucks.